Speaking of, former President Donald Trump is going to be in downtown Fort Myers tonight. He will be the keynote speaker for this year's Lincoln Regan Dinner, and that will create an interesting political dynamic. Fox 4 anchor Chris Shaw is live downtown, where there are already signs the former president will be there.
Yeah, Lisa, it is after 7:30 here in downtown Fort Myers, so people are starting to fill up the office buildings. And if you look over my shoulder here, you can see the amphitheater here. Workers are busy right now. They are setting up the stage. They are also setting chairs out in front of the amphitheater. That street that goes between the convention center and the river, Edwards Drive, is closed right now to traffic. And if you come back over here, the street where we are right out in front of the convention center, Monroe Street, there are barriers that the city is getting ready to put out. So the former President Trump will be here at a dinner here at the Calusa Sound Convention Center a little later this evening. This is a big-time fundraiser for the Lee County Republican Party, and this year's event is going to spotlight what is a growing rift between the former president and the governor. Now, most people expect Ron DeSantis to announce that he is running for president at some point after the legislative session ends next month. He's been traveling to early primary states like Iowa and South Carolina to promote his new book. The people who expect him to run includes Donald Trump, who has attacked the governor on everything from COVID response to DeSantis's battle with Disney. So the question is, where do Southwest Florida Republicans stand? Well, two of the speakers at tonight's event, Congressman Byron Donalds and Greg Steube, have already endorsed Trump for president. We went to FGCU professor Dr. Peter Bergeson to get his analysis.
Trump does see him as a threat, but it also, DeSantis becomes a foil for him to be part of the news cycle. And so there then becomes the comparison. And Trump, you know, one of his expertise has been on television. He's run for the office before. He's able to respond, as you suggested, in the moment. And those are some of the advantages that he has that DeSantis does not have.
And Dr. Bergeson makes one more important point. We are still early on in this process to nominate a president for next fall. So he says when Ron DeSantis does eventually come out and say that he is running, he expects he will have his own long list of endorsements to flout as well. Dr. Bergeson also says once the summer comes and the debates begin, that's when we will see the two Floridians, the front runners in this race right now, really go after each other. And it is a battle that apparently people across the country want to see. Now I want to turn to Fox's Austin Westfall, who is in South Carolina right now, where Governor DeSantis spent the last couple of days.
DeSantis mostly spoke about his work in Florida so far, arguing that much of the work he's done there could also work for the U.S. as a whole. DeSantis has not officially confirmed that he's running for president yet, but many of the people in attendance yesterday say that they're looking forward to seeing him and Trump face off.
I'm undecided, personally.
I sway towards Trump, but I think DeSantis is a close second, and I think only time will tell where either one of them stand.
Florida shows that leadership really matters.
This was DeSantis' first public visit to South Carolina ahead of the 2024 election.
I believe if the left's able to run the table in 2024 with these elections, you know, their agenda is going to be a radical agenda.
The governor talked about some of his bigger challenges, like responding to COVID-19, immigration issues, and his feud with Disney in front of a packed South Carolina crowd. South Carolina is important not only because it's an early primary state.
Its voters generally reflect those of the Republican voters nationwide.
Since 1980, South Carolina primary voters have correctly chosen the eventual Republican nominee in every election except for 2012, when Newt Gingrich beat Mitt Romney. But South Carolinians will likely see a couple of familiar faces running this time around.
That's how we were able to get illegals out of our state, because they knew they couldn't get a job.
Former ambassador to the UN and former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley already declared her run for office. U.S. Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina is another likely candidate.
We want to restore faith in America.
But a home stage advantage is no guarantee. For example, Senator Marco Rubio challenged Donald Trump in Rubio's home state of Florida in the 2016 primary.
And he lost, I believe, every single county except for his own and maybe a few others.
As we talk about this today, Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis are also the two kind of front runners in South Carolina.
DeSantis did not mention Trump during his speech last night. The Republican primary for the 2024 presidential election is going to be happening in February of 2024. Here in Spartanburg, South Carolina, Austin Westfall.
All right, Austin, thank you very much for that report from South Carolina. A lot of presidential politics news this morning, because this morning we also have a better idea on when we're going to find out if President Joe Biden is going to run for re-election. Listen to this. His campaign is telling CNN and the Associated Press that they expect to have an announcement in just a few days. His advisors are getting a video ready that would coincide with the anniversary of when he announced he was going to run in 2020. He officially launched that presidential bid on April 25th. That will be Tuesday if he makes a similar announcement this time around. So a lot of political news that some people who are into politics really care about, but there is something everybody here in downtown Fort Myers who is here this evening is going to have to deal with. A number of events, plus the former president being here. We may see a lot of supporters as well. Traffic is going to be an issue with the big crowds.